right, well, you've probably guessed by now, but just in case you haven't, let me tell you where we are today. We are at a fire station. Now, this fire station is a little smaller than some because it's on an island. If you go to somewhere like a big city, you're gonna find way bigger fire stations, but this one is kind of in the middle in size, and I'm so excited to go in because I've never ever been to a fire station before, and I don't even think I've spoken to a firefighter before. And we get to do both of those things today. So I'm really excited. Come and join me. We're gonna learn about firefighters, this fire station, and most importantly, fire safety. Good morning. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming to visit.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to start by kind of figuring out what your title is, because your title is Assistant Chief. So what does that mean?
So in the fire department, we all have different jobs, and we have different jobs at a fire too. So the firefighters are doing the work. They're the ones dragging the hoses, carrying the axe. The captains help organize the team, and they're the ones in charge of a truck, for example. And then a chief is in charge of a bunch of firefighters and a bunch of trucks. So at a fire, the chief would kind of be the one in charge of coming up with a plan of how to fight the fire, and then help all the firefighters to come up with a good plan.
Wow, and you can do that like on the fly right away?
Quick, that's what we got to do.
That's what your training's for.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of training, what did you have to do to get to this position? Because you're high up now.
Yeah, so I've been a firefighter now for 20 years, and
Wow.
So I was a firefighter for a long time, and then I was a captain, and I actually just became a chief 2 weeks ago. So I'm a brand new little baby chief.
Congratulations.
So yeah, there's lots of courses, lots of school. In fact, one of the things that I really liked about becoming a firefighter is you get to learn lots. There's so many different things to learn. So that's why I like doing this.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Do you think we could have a little tour?
Please.
Awesome.
You guys want to go inside? You want to go look at the truck first? What shall we do first?
Maybe let's do the truck.
Okay. So just like I was saying, firefighters have different jobs at a fire. The trucks have different jobs too. So here we have 3 of our fire trucks. That one at the far end is Tender 1. Then we've got Squad 1, and then we have Engine 1. So the first part of the name tells you a little bit about its job and what it does, and then the 1 part means they're all from Fire Hall number 1, and that's where we are here in downtown Ganges. So the first truck over there, the Tender, is a water tender. It carries lots of water. It also has a bunch of tools, but its main job is to carry water. The middle truck, the Squad, it doesn't really carry any water. It does carry a bunch of tools. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It does lots of jobs, but none of them really well. And then this is an engine, and the main job of an engine is it's got the pump for putting out pumping the water to put out the fire. It also carries a lot of tools. It's a big toolbox. This truck is brand new. We're actually just still getting it organized. It just started last week, so it's just like me. It's like a baby truck. Here's the pump over here, and this is the part that is, it's kind of like in your kitchen or your bathroom, and you've got taps for flowing water. These are kind of like taps, but they can move a lot of water. Like you can imagine, this one is for pumping water into the truck, and you can see that's a really big pipe. Lots of water goes in there. And these ones are for water coming out. And then up here we've got some more, and they've got hoses attached already. They're called pre-connects with fire hoses and nozzles, and we can pull this off, stretch it out, and pump water to it right away. It's already connected, because everything has to be quick at a fire.
Where does so the water that goes in, that comes from the fire hydrants?
It can either come from a fire hydrant, or it could get sucked in like by a straw. These tubes up here are they're called hard suction hoses, and like a straw, we can suck water out of a lake or a pond or a tank.
Wow.
And on Salt Spring, we don't have a lot of fire hydrants, so a lot of times we are sucking water out of a lake or a pond. Then there's all of these drawers are full of tools. As I said, it's like a giant toolbox. And this shows you some of the different types of tools we use. So here is our tools for hooking up to fire hydrants, and these are called gates. So this would get threaded onto the hydrant. We take the cap off, put this on, and you can see this is it's like a gate. And as I open this up, the gate opens and closes. So that's how we can control the water coming out of the fire hydrant. We've got nozzles, really big ones and smaller ones. We've got adapters for hooking up to things. These are our keys. So if you can't get into your house, we can get into your house because we've got keys. So these are all things for breaking doors and windows and locks. So we've got, for example, you might have heard of the jaws of life, and these are hydraulic jaws, and they're kind of like scissors for cutting cars, and they're also pinchers for grabbing metal and moving it. And they're very strong. It's operated by this little pump.
Wow.
Well, it can be frightening for people involved, but we're there to help, and we want to make it get better as fast as possible. That's kind of our big goal.
Yes. When we see you on the scene, we don't need to be afraid. We can feel calmer if you're there. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you want to see some more things on the truck?
Let's go.
Here's all of our medical things. So if somebody's hurt and they need a Band-Aid, or they're having trouble breathing, we have some oxygen. So these are our medical tools. We've got some little, these are traffic cones. So if there's a car crash, we want to make sure people don't drive into us.
I've seen those before.
We've got these cones that we'll set up around to show people where to drive and where not to drive.
Yeah.
We've got more fire hoses.
Wow.
Lots of fire hoses.
It might be a good time to ask, what is like the most common call you get, would you say?
Well, interestingly, even though we're firefighters, our most common call is a medical emergency.
Okay.
On any given day, on average, we go to about one medical call a day. We end up going to a fire about once every few weeks, maybe even once every 2 weeks. This time of year, mostly outdoor fires. Then in the winter, we have house fires.
Wow.
And then we go to about a car crash a week. It's kind of what we see on average.
On the island?
Oh yeah. Yeah, people have to get better at driving.
They do, apparently. Yeah. Well, I think when I was in labor with my baby, there was a fire truck that came as well. So you show up for that.
We go to those too.
Yeah, very cool.
Way more fun.
Yeah.
So, and there's lots of hose up here too. So much hose. This is all full of hose. So sometimes we have to carry water a really long way.
Wow.
So we have lots of hose for if we have to move water from one place to another. So this truck might drop, this is 800 feet of hose to carry the water from one truck to another truck.
Wow.
If we need to.
That looks like a jetpack.
Kind of like a jetpack. So this is called a self-contained breathing apparatus. And if you know anything about diving, it looks a little bit like a scuba tank for people who swim underwater. The reason we use this is you can't breathe smoke. Smoke will make you really sick. So we bring a tank full of clean air. So we wear a mask that looks like this, and it gets connected to this tube that we can draw air from this bottle full of clean air through the tube into the mask, and that way we don't breathe the smoke, because smoke will make you sick.
Right.
So this is our clean air. And it's really important for people to know, don't ever breathe smoke. It'll make you really sick. You might notice if you have breathed smoke, it'll make you cough and feel bad. One trick, if you are in a fire and you don't have one of these, is you could crawl low, because the smoke wants to go up high. So that's another thing that we do, is we crawl low under smoke. So the inside of the truck, well, is a lot like almost any other truck, but we've got a couple of little things that are different. One is we've got the controls here for how to switch the pump on. So the motor that drives the truck to drive it forward is also the same motor that operates the pump to suck water out of a lake and pump water out of the hoses. And we can, with this little switch here, we can change the job of the motor from driving the wheels to driving the pump. And that's how we switch it. So the motor can do both jobs. You also we have the radio up there for how to talk to the other trucks. And way up high here is where we control all the flashy lights. And I can actually put those on if you want to see those.
I would love to see the flashy lights.
This thing hanging on the green cord, this is a kind of camera that helps us see heat. Or we can see where the fire is, or we can also see people with that as well, because they're warmer than other things. Yeah. That just gives you an idea of the kinds of things in here. So this is our coffee room and a place where we have our lunches and our snacks. And we have a little kitchen back there for making more snacks and coffee. And so people work here every day, and this is our place to eat, but we also have, some firefighters don't work here, they only come when there's an emergency, but they can also come by and visit, and sometimes that's why there's some extra couches. And then when we're finished our school, our training, sometimes we'll sit and visit and chat with each other as friends. So this is our gym. And as you were saying earlier, a lot of the equipment we lift is really heavy, and some of the things we do, we have to exert ourselves, and we don't want to get hurt, and we want to be able to do our jobs. So we've got like an exercise bike and a running track and some weights to keep ourselves healthy and fit. So we do all that. And then one more thing that's kind of fun to point out, this is our calendar, like you might have in your school, showing all the different things we're going to learn each month. So for example, we did some water rescue stuff with our boat, we practiced some ropes and knots, we practiced using the fan to blow smoke out of buildings, we did a whole bunch of stuff with our fire props, practicing fire, this was practicing our medical skills, on some stuff with boat fires, elevator rescues, different water supply systems, and some practices with hose and nozzle.
What can we do at our home to keep us safe, to prevent fires, to detect or know when there's a fire? What would you suggest?
Well, a couple of key things is make sure you have a working smoke alarm. Smoke alarms are really important, and their main job is to wake you up if you're sleeping to let you know that there's smoke. Because sometimes if you're asleep, the smoke might just make you more sleepy, and as I said, we can't breathe smoke, it makes us sick. So you want to have the smoke alarm up on the ceiling. I can see one right up there. And if there was smoke, it would alert us. It makes a loud noise, wakes us up. And then if you do hear the smoke alarm, you need to know what to do. And the smoke alarm is telling you, get out, stay out. So we hear the smoke alarm, we get out. Where do we go? We should go to our meeting place. So a really good thing to do is talk to your family and figure out, where's our meeting place? So maybe for our meeting place at the fire hall, it could be the fire hydrant right outside. We all know where the fire hydrant is. We're going to go meet at the fire hydrant if we hear the smoke alarm. The good thing about having a meeting place is that way everybody in the family knows where everybody is. So if we all go out different doors, I'm not going to be thinking, oh no, where's Catherine? She's going to be at another door going, oh no, where's Mitchell?
Yeah.
All in the same place, we all know we're safe. So knowing that you've got a working smoke alarm is important, having a meeting place is really important. Those would be a couple of things I think are really important for kids to know.
And as we talked about is knowing your address as well, and how to call 911. Yeah.
Very important.
Very important.
So here's the thing, fires in the house, the number one cause of fires, the number one location for fires is in kitchens. The number one cause of fires in kitchens is unattended food. So people are cooking and then they leave the food and go do something else. So if you notice your family's cooking something and they end up having to go somewhere else, as a kid you can say, hey mom, dad, you need to go back into the kitchen where the food is. You have to look when you cook. You have to see where the food is and look when you cook.
Look when you cook, that rhymes, I like that.
Then for campfires, there's a couple of little things. One is when you want to have a campfire, and campfires are fun, I like campfires, but you want to have some water ready with you before you make the fire. In case there's a problem, you want to be able to put it out quickly. So either have a garden hose coming out to where your campfire is, or maybe if you're at a place far away from the garden hose, you want to bring some buckets of water so you can put the fire out quickly. And then when you leave, you really want to make sure the fire is out. So we'll pour water on, and what we do as firefighters is I'd bring a shovel too, and kind of mix the water and the dirt around a bit, kind of make a little bit of a warm mud to make sure it's really out. In firefighting, we do something called cold trailing, and once we're really sure the fire is out, we'll actually touch the ground to make sure it's cool for the time.
So maybe a grown-up should do that part?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to burn your hand if there was still some hot embers.
Yeah, no. And if it's smoking, does that mean it could still light up again, or is that...
Really good question. So smoke and water vapor can look very much alike. So sometimes what might look like smoke might actually just be steam, and that would be hot water coming off. So it's good to wait a little bit and see. If it was steam, it'll stop. And if it's still smoking, it might not last a little longer. So it's good to stay after you put out a fire, wait a few more minutes, and see if the smoke goes away. Does it steam or is it smoke?
Okay, that's great. Those are amazing tips. Thank you so much for having us here. This is so exciting. As I said, this is my very first time, and you made me feel really safe because now I really have a better idea about what goes behind the scenes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.